This was just an old, lonely guy. Okay, I'd like to please call this meeting back to order. We all set, Connie? In the back? Okay, great. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion?
So move.
I have a motion. Second? I have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections, changes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those minutes are approved. Now I'll turn it over to Dr. Montesano for his report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We have some anxious students here who I'm so happy came out to join us. As you know, we did really well with the National History Day competition, and we thought it would be great to have some of the students who are participating come out and share their what they did with us. We couldn't invite all the students, but we had a number of students this year who really did an outstanding job, and some faculty as well. And I'm not going to talk too much because I am going to introduce Mark Ketke to come up to introduce our students and the faculty members who helped put this all together. So, Mara?
It's my pleasure tonight to introduce two student groups that represented Bronxville High School at the New York State Competition for National History Day, held in Cooperstown, New York on April 23rd. National History Day has been in existence since 1980 and includes national, regional, and local affiliates. Schools representing New York State at the most recent competition included Herrick's, Clarkstown, and Stuyvesant High School in New York City. This year-long historical research program allows our students to practice research skills. Over 80% of their work is judged based on the quality of their research, while working as documentarians, web designers, historians, and writers and artists to share their thesis based on a central theme. Under the direction of Ms. Dana Landesman, Ms. Christina Rydell, and Mr. Bill Meyer, all 9th and 10th grade students in Bronxville participate in National History Day. Since 2015, the numbers of students participating at the state and regional levels have increased significantly. In both 2016 and 2017, 5 students from Bronxville advanced from the regional to state competition. This April, 23 students from Bronxville advanced from regionals to states, with one group who you will hear from this evening representing Bronxville High School at nationals this June. We are extraordinarily proud of all of our students who represented Bronxville at every level of competition. Based on this year's theme of conflict and compromise, our first group, who remained busy preparing for nationals, created an exhibit based on their research of the Arusha Accords, a peace agreement between the government of the Republic of Rwanda and the Rwandan Patriotic Front. Our second group of presenters created an original score and lyrics to describe the impact of the rise and fall of the Berlin Wall. I will add that I believe this will be the first ever rock concert at a Board of Education meeting. Please join me in welcoming our first group to the stage.
Hi everyone. I'm Charlotte. I'm Emily. I'm Grace. I'm Sophia. And we are going to tell you guys about our exhibit today, which I'm going to introduce about the Arusha Accords in Rwanda. So our project is primarily focused on the Rwandan genocide, which was a tragic event occurred in Central Africa in 1994, and over 800,000 Rwandans were killed through by their neighbors. We want to focus specifically, according to the theme, on the failed compromise that preceded the genocide, known as the Arusha Accords. And the questions driving our research were how was it able that the international community looked on and saw these accords unfold and thousands of people died. So we have copies of our annotated biography. This includes our research. We have over 200 sources.
Thanks.
Would you mind, I know it's a little inconvenient, but is there a way to use the microphone just so everyone can hear well?
This works.
Oh, that's not inconvenient at all.
There you go.
Since our topic was so modern, we were able to research using a wide variety of sources, including technical documents such as the original courts themselves. Also, Sabrina was able to use her linguistic abilities to read colonial documents in their original language, which is German. And also, one of the really great things about researching such a modern topic is that there's still people living who have lived through this event and who are involved in it. So we were able to reach out to many people who have first-hand experience. For example, we reached out to Carl Wilkins, who was the only United States missionary to stay in Rwanda during the time of the genocide. And we were able to ask him about his experience there and some of the ways that he believes the genocide could have been prevented.
Something that really helped us after each level of competition was meeting with consultants. We met with Mr. Morrow, a speech coach, and Mr. Coe, who helped us make the board look really good and organized, and he recommended products we could use to do so. And Mr. Morrow was really helpful. She went through the feedback we've gotten from the judges and helped us figure out how to make changes for the next level of competition, which really helped us.
Yeah, I would say that during this whole process we have three big sections of takeaway. One was the content and the actual research, as Emily and Grace talked about. The second was actually the group work. Working in a group of 5, an odd number, it's not easy. I did sort of an even number where you have the 2-2, but we had some disagreements. We worked through things like conflict and compromise. Yeah, and I think we are a stronger group for that. The third area that we were really able to grow in is being able to present something in a way that others can understand. As Charlotte was talking about, we met with Mr. Coe, who calls himself a phone board guru, but he actually gave us some really good tips on how to make the organization better. So, yeah.
I'm really thankful for MHD because this type of medium allows us to interact with history in a way we've never really done before. We're kind of presenting it in a way that's digestible to a lot of people through visual mediums, and we're getting into the perspectives of every single individual there through countless primary sources. Overall, I think it was a really unique experience doing this project because we've never, in any of our classes, done such an extensive research project. For all of our projects, our sources have been mostly searching the internet and school databases, which we of course did too. But we reached out to real people who are in Rwanda. We read unclassified documents from the events, and our research expanded so far from what we'd previously done. We've all written a million papers and presentations, but we've never had to do something like this, where we create such an elaborate visual display. So it tested what we knew in a new way. And like she said, working in a group like this, we found, while there were difficulties, we all had different strengths and weaknesses, so we really learned to work together in a new way.
So were you all friends to start with, or how did you wind up grouping together? How did the group come together?
Well, the three of us.
Sophia, Emily, and I had been in a group last year where we made a similar exhibit, though not nearly as good. And we made it past the school level to the regional level. And we had gotten the dimensions of the exhibit wrong, and then we had to change everything last minute. And so we came in third, which is very close to getting to state. So that kind of frustrated us. We wanted to try again this year. And then we recruited some of our friends.
Okay. Okay, great.
So why this subject? Was there some connection, or did you study it in the past, or come across it in a prior class?
I had read an article right when we started NHP about how today in Rwanda it's illegal to ask somebody their race, and nobody really discusses whether they're Hutu or Tutsi. So we became interested in why that was, and then we found out it was laws that had been implemented
in a lot of curriculums, African history is really neglected, and we want to just really bring that to light. And no NHT winners that we looked at have done African projects, so we're really interested in the topic.
I think also, as soon as we heard about the topic, we were really shocked by how 800,000 people were killed in a span of only 100 days, which is the fastest rate of killing ever. And as soon as we heard about it, we were shocked because this happened in 1994, so just over 20 years ago. And we were amazed by how little we knew about a topic that was so recent and had such an impact on this country. So I think as soon as we heard about it, we realized this would be an amazing topic to study because of the potential for research, because of all the primary sources that are in existence, and because it's such an underrepresented topic that's so important to our world.
When's the finals?
June 10th to 14th.
Okay, in Washington?
We have a month to get a lot more done.
Well, thank you very much. That's terrific.
University of Maryland.
As the next group's getting ready to come up, I'm going to embarrass a couple of our staff members because they worked so hard and they were, I think, more excited than the kids in some ways over the performance. So Dana and Christina Rydell are in the audience sitting down. I'd like just to have them stand to be recognized because they put so much work into this.
So what's the name of the group?
Berlin. Did you just make that up?
It was very on the spot.
Okay.
We might have Leonard Skinner or something.
You're not gonna shout Freebird, are you?
He was named after,
Gym teacher.
yeah, that's the,
Either that or the custodian, I can't remember which.
This is amazing projects that they do. Yeah, and these kids are 10th graders, 9th graders competing against, for the most part, 11th and 12th graders from places like Herrick's. And the kids in Herrick's start on this before the summer.
Yeah.
Why our kids do it as a younger age? Just the way it works. Bronxville.
The name of our work is called The Wall Came
Kids to
Down.
do a research project. And so made it part of, that's a good place to do it in terms of the social studies curriculum.
August 13th, 1961, the wall was erected. It contained half of the population. Those who wanted to leave could not. Families were broken up. Friends divided. 1, 2, 3.
So whose idea was this? Okay, that's a great idea. Great idea.
So, were there a lot of musical submissions?
Hmm.
What song you working on next? Yeah.
So for the nationals, you're going to do you have other things? Oh, you're not going. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
You got robbed.
Boo.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your takeaway? What would you say your takeaway from educational or otherwise from this experience?
I think there were a lot of, I guess, not particularly academic lessons, but I guess more life lessons that we take out of this. Because along the road, we've had a lot of conflict, you could say, and we've had to compromise over them. So, we've learned a lot of things about how to deal with people you might not like at first.
Such as?
Like, we don't all like the same music, for example, so it was very difficult to compromise on how we would approach this in the beginning. But eventually, we started to like each other's ideas more and more, and things came together. So that was a good lesson for us.
Like a real band. Yeah, you can all bands go through that. All right.
I just think it was really creative, and I'm really impressed. That was great.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I don't have much more in report other than to remind people of the budget vote and Board of Election that's coming up on May 15th. And I'd like to make sure everybody comes out to vote. And we do have a Memorial Day celebration that is also coming up at the end of the month. We do have one more meeting that night accepting the results, but tend not to get as many people there, so I want to remind people of the Memorial Day celebration as well. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carlin, you want to take us through the last
Do we need
presentation
a
on the
resolution
budget?
to open the hearing or anything like? Okay. This part of the evening is devoted to the public hearing. This is the opportunity for anybody to get up and give their opinion on our budget for next year, which the board adopted in March. We are proposing a budget of $48,222,978. We are going to hope to receive revenue other than property tax of almost $5.4 million, leaving us to come up with $42,847,978 through village resources. Now, we have about $500,000 earmarked towards offsetting the tax levy, which leads to a 2018-19 proposed tax levy of $42,347,098, representing an increase of 1.97% over the current year tax levy, and which is significantly, and by significantly I mean $275,000 under our calculated tax levy cap for next year. So with that, we open the floor to any comments from the public.
Okay, are there any comments from the public?
I'd like to speak on certifications, because now it's time to do that.
No, this is just for the budget.
Will I be able to see this?
Sure. Yeah, we have that at the, after the business of the meeting is concluded, we invite people up. So, we don't have to approve, we've already approved this, so.
Yes.
Hearing no comments, we're closing the public hearing on our budget. So this is the budget that will be up for approval on May 15th.
Couple of weeks, absolutely.
Right. Okay. Okay, Dr. Kelly?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I have a number of resolutions before the board this evening. The first 5 relate to certified staff. There is a resignation, a request for an FMLA leave, a settlement that was reviewed in executive session, as well as 2 overages. We also have 2 leave replacements before you today, as well as a resignation of a teacher aide, which I will say a little about. And then we have co-curricular stipend revisions, as well as revisions to the spring coaches roster for the current season. Those are items A through L.
Okay, are there any questions on items A through L? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of items A through L?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those are approved.
I just want to take a moment and honor Carol Cerrone, who has been a teacher aide with us for decades. I think she has done every possible responsibility as it relates to children in our school, from the elementary school to our life skills high school students. She is someone who cares deeply for our students, has been highly reliable, and we wish her the very, very best in retirement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kelly, and the board also extends our thanks. So next, Mr. Carloner, back to financial action items.
Yeah, there's no financial report this month because we're not finished closing the month, so we're pushing that to June, but I don't see any significant changes from the prior month. I can tell you that right now. And we have one financial action item, which is our annual installment purchase agreement with Southern Westchester BOCES. This is put together by Jen Forsberg, involving a 4-year replacement cycle of laptops and desktops. Almost 200 are in need of replacement this year. 3-year replacement cycle of old, outdated projectors and smartboards with newer technology, such as interactive projectors and interactive TVs. Infrastructure updates, switches and things of that nature, and classroom technology, Chromebooks and iPad minis. We arranged this through an installment purchase agreement over 4 years with Southern Westchester BOCES. By working through them, the 2 major advantages are BOCES aid. We get aided on these technology purchases by the state education department, so that gives us a nice discount. And then also, we like them to own it until the end of the payments. Therefore, if we flood, it's their issue, not ours.
Don't jinx us.
And they insure it.
And then we return all these to them?
Well, it's an installment purchase, so by the end of
Oh,
it,
I
we
see,
own
I
it.
see. So we
If they
lease
still
them
work,
out.
we keep it. If not, we turn it over.
So for the maintenance, I assume that by your proposing this, that we're very satisfied with the service we're getting? out of it?
Yes.
Now, what type of discount do you think we get doing it this way versus some alternative, which is,
Well, this
the alternative would be, but
BOCES purchases, through cooperative purchasing arrangements, both on a local and national level. So the pricing is extremely competitive. So I don't know if we went out and did this on our own, if we'd do any better. I don't think we would. It's the financing arrangements. Rates are so low that there wouldn't be that much of an advantage financing it on our own. And if you throw in BOCES aid, it's a big winner for us financially.
We get aid as well on that.
What's our aid ratio for this?
It's about 30%.
where does that aid money come? Does that come from the state?
Yes, it comes in as part of our revenue on the budget
The following year.
to the general fund.
State aid.
So if we bought this equipment ourselves, we would, that 30%
Correct.
goes away.
Would go away.
Okay, any other questions?
It's a real incentive for school districts.
And there's a resolution that goes along with it that's a couple of pages long, prepared by Southern Westchester BOCES Council, reviewed by our council that the board has to pass.
Particularly since they may get 50, 60, 70.
Okay, and we have it up there, Connie? Okay, and the attached resolution is in the documents here. So do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions about this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Carlin.
Thank you.
That is approved. Moving right along, facilities update, you have anything in there?
We have a lot happening in the area of facilities. I just walked down yesterday a purchase order for elementary school playground replacement. Well, I guess it would be demolition, construction, replacement. Trish Murray is very excited about the plan. She had a lot of input from the community. So that is going to happen this summer. Chambers Field and track and pumps and a small interior project have been separated out for hopefully earlier approval. Working on possibly a late fall start, early spring completion. That's best case scenario. Or at the very least, summer of 2019, replacement of Chambers Field and the track. The pumps will be ordered as soon as we get the go-ahead from SED and installed upon arrival. We don't yet have an indication of lead time from order to installation yet. I'll update the board as soon as we do. That's the good news. Bad news is the district has received bids that are within the estimated budget for the high school library, but the contractors have dropped out for various reasons, and that's not bad news with the low bidders. We weren't very excited about the low bidders on that project. At this time, no longer feasible to award the project for construction this summer. Our office is, my office is recommending rebidding the project in the fall and possibly folding it in, or likely folding it in with the overall larger bond issue going on, which would alleviate some of our funding concerns if there is any money left over in that project, or give us time to devote more general fund money to it.
Jeff, I would like for there to be some effort to take a look at what we intended to do, all good stuff for the high school library, and compare it and maybe make it a part of a larger, more cohesive project with the big work we're going to be doing rising out of the bond issue. It doesn't make sense for it to be fragmented, some kind of off stepchild project off on the side.
Yeah, we agree, and I think that's
Absolutely.
where we're going with this. We're also going to have the land architects take this over as part of that.
That was the
and-
next thing I was going to say.
Yes,
So
yeah. So
Thanks.
land will now take this over, review everything, and see what makes the most sense moving forward.
So just for the record, so we've gone out for bid
Twice.
And the first time the bids were higher, and then we
We had one bid we were vetting, and their window expired where they were able to pull out, and they did. They saw where we were going, trying to get their bid down, and I think they realized that there wasn't the money in the project that they thought there was going to be for them.
So we bid again.
So then we rebid.
And how many
we had
respondents did we
We
have?
probably had 6 or 7 bids, but they were all way over, except for 2. And the two bidders that were within range were questionable, and they pulled out eventually.
So the ones that, of the ones that we might have selected, how far off were we?
I would say probably 30 to 40% off. Optimistically, more like 40 to 50% off realistically.
So give us order numbers here now. It was 800 to
We
a
have
million.
we have roughly $1 million. We were getting
Right.
bids of $1.4 million to $1.5 million.
Okay.
It's, with the overall construction industry seeing such a growth that the public projects that were so attractive 5 years ago are not any longer, and
Especially
they're
at this
bidding them
scale.
accordingly. And I know that a number of contractors that won't even bid school construction authority work in New York.
Wow.
Okay. Is that it? Anything else?
That is it.
Any other questions regarding facilities from the board? Okay, we can move, let's keep moving. Committee reports. Do we, would you like audit committee?
Yeah, we had an audit committee meeting this morning which is a traditional meeting for us as we prepare for the external audit coming up on the June 30th financial statements. It was attended by both the representative from the external auditor, the internal auditor, and the claims auditor, which I think was a nice mix to be able to have a good conversation about our financial strength and the upcoming audits. So we'll keep you posted as we go through those, but it'll probably be October then when we present those final reports.
Okay, thank you, Arlene. Are there any other committee reports? Any other new business, any other comments that we have from the board? If not, we can move to public participation, which of course is limited to matters related to the district business or any agenda item. So at this time, I ask for any public comments. So now you can come on. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Jen Gross. I've lived in Bronxville since 2003. I have 3 children in the district. I know many of you from not only our children going to school, but the sports fields, Boy Scouts, Junior League, Working Women of Bronxville. Our children and our family loves the district. We are not a bunch of whiners or complainers. This is my first time here. I am here for a sort of passionate plea, and that is that when we look at hiring staff, I really would like us to do our due diligence and to really look at who we have in the classrooms and to make sure that they are certified. Most of you here are very well qualified. You all have probably very impressive resumes. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Dr. Katz, I'm going to use you as a friendly example. When my son was in middle school, there's a sign in your room that says, "I am Dr. Katz," and you are not. And we laugh about that because that gets the conversation started. What does a doctor mean? Is it not only a medical doctor, but it's also a doctor in education, right? So you are well respected, you deserve that, right? And many of you have gone on to higher education for their doctorate. Education is not cheap. Education costs a lot of money. Somebody paid for all of our education, and maybe it was us through our hard work, toil, sweat, and tears. The bottom line is that when we have teachers come into our schools, they need to be certified. You might hire plumbers or electricians that might not have a license, but you will not be able to get a permit through town hall that way. So I feel that right now, currently, my son has 2 uncertified teachers. Now, there are extenuating circumstances, and my issue is not with those particular teachers per se. So, for example, they might be very lovely, and they might be doing a good job. The fact of the matter is, though, most of us, the point of education is not only to be a good citizen, but to get a job, an entry ticket. And that goes for everywhere in society. We want to teach our kids that if you work hard, you move on to the next step, and that you cannot cut corners and do certain jobs in the public arena. In the private institutions, sure, you might not have all the qualifications. There are teachers in the private sector who may only just have their bachelor's. They might not have their master's degrees, they might not be certified, and they might not have their doctorates. I think, and I would like us to do our due diligence and really look at who we are hiring. I think that we need to go through, it's public knowledge now, you can look it up. It wasn't always so. It was much harder to get. Parents weren't always able to get on the New York State Education website to look and see if teachers were certified. That was up to the school. While there are extenuating circumstances for teachers to be hired very quickly, jobs need to be posted. Again, this is a public institution, and jobs should be posted. I thank you all for listening. I really feel that this is important. I really feel that most of us really care about who is in the classroom, in the front of the room, teaching our children. And if they knew that we are hiring uncertified teachers, I think they would be a little bit more upset. And again, understanding the extenuating circumstances, however, we need to do the best job we possibly can to get the most qualified people standing in front of the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gross. But what I do want to, I feel like I want to set the record straight here from my own perspective, because I have one more month. I'm going to be 6 years on the board. And one of the things that I'm proud of that this board has done over this period of time is the improvement in the quality of the teachers. I think that we've had, could be wrong, Dr. Katz could correct me on this, something like, since I've been on the board, 40 new teachers. And I would guess that the average experience level of those new teachers is 5 to 10 years experience when they've come into our school. I know that we have a salary scale, and they're not at the lower end of the salary scale. They're right in there. We have very competent and qualified people. Now, I understand, and I agree with you 100%. I agree when we have leave replacements and someone leaves and someone gets hurt, gets in a car accident, something, we have to put somebody in front of the class the next day. You know, that does pose a big challenge to the administration. And certainly I would agree with you, we shouldn't be taking any easy way out. We should always try to get the best people. I know we have done it in the past. I know we've had retired teachers, maybe Mrs. Grogan is it, that has come back in the past from elementary school, and we've had others. And so I agree we should continue to encourage the administration to try to have the very best people. I know it's very difficult for them in those circumstances, but that's not an excuse for not having the best that we can. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Gross.
And if I could just, as an administrative team, collectively, we take the hiring of our staff extremely serious, and it's something that we spend a lot of time on, and we always want to try to put the best person that we can possibly find in front of a class of students. We pride ourselves on that.
Okay, any other new business for the board? Public? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.